Hello, welcome to Wales Today. I'm Nick Savini. The headlines this lunchtime. A retired NHS worker says she spent 19 hours in police custody after accompanying a woman to her assisted death in Switzerland. And a final training session at home before Wales head to Qatar for their first World Cup in 64 years. Good afternoon. A retired NHS worker says she was arrested and faced a lengthy police investigation after travelling with a woman from Cardigan who wanted an assisted death in Switzerland. Sharon Johnson had been in a wheelchair since a fall in her house left her paralysed. And Sue Lawford says she travelled with her to show compassion. But the 70-year-old says police were aggressive in the way they dealt with the matter. She's been speaking to our reporter, Nellie Bird.
You know, I didn't know her really very well at all, but I've admired her courage, I suppose.
This is Sue Lawford from Cardiff. Earlier this year, she travelled to Dignitas with Sharon Johnston. You might remember Sharon. Last autumn, she took part in a BBC Wales Investigates programme, explaining why she wanted help to end her life after a fall left her paralysed. By then, the plans were already pretty advanced. And so, in February of this year, even though the women had only met once before, their journey began. They were heading to a Dignitas apartment like this in Switzerland. And despite being questioned by police along the way, Sharon went ahead with what she wanted.
She drank the liquid through a straw. After a minute or two, she opened her eyes and she just said, "This is a lovely feeling." And then she went off to sleep again. And a minute later, she was gone.
After Sharon died, Sue returned home to Cardiff. The following day, police turned up in the early morning, banging on her door. They arrested her and held her in a cell for 16 hours. Today, Sue will travel to Westminster in London to speak about her experiences. The campaign group she's part of, My Death, My Decision, says the story supports their belief that the law needs to change. At the moment, anyone found to encourage or assist a suicide of someone else faces up to 14 years in prison. But many believe that any changes to the law would be dangerous.
The role of the law has to be to protect everyone in the population who is vulnerable. And it has to look to protect the most vulnerable from being pressurised into thinking that they should somehow end their lives.
Dyfed-Powys Police said it was a criminal offence to encourage or assist the suicide of another person and said that a thorough criminal investigation is required to establish the facts of each case. It also confirmed that following such an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of Sharon Johnston, the matter has been closed. It means that Sue faces no further action from police, something she's relieved about after 6 months under investigation.
Nellie Bird reporting there. A 75-year-old swimming instructor who sexually abused 5 young girls has been jailed for what police called heinous and indefensible crimes. Robert Rickson from Porthcawl was found guilty at Cardiff Crown Court of 28 charges of sexual assault, including one of rape. He's been sentenced to 25 years in prison. A man's been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder following a double stabbing in Merthyr Tydfil. Officers were called to a property in the Penydarren area of the town on Sunday morning, following reports of 2 people having been stabbed. A man and a woman remain in hospital in stable conditions. 52-year-old Patrick Shaw of Penydarren will appear before Merthyr Magistrates Court today. Ceredigion Council say they're working with police and a primary school after an incident involving a car and a pupil in Aberystwyth yesterday afternoon. A child was airlifted to hospital after suffering serious injuries in the collision near Penglais School in Roshendra. The council said it is being updated on the condition of the pupil and is providing support to those affected. A Welsh Government minister says they'll consider a call for an inquiry into all police forces across Wales and England after allegations of misogyny, corruption and racism at the Gwent Force. The force's Chief Constable Pam Kelly has said Wiltshire Police will independently investigate Gwent Police, but a former Chief Prosecutor, Nazir Afzal, wants a wider probe. The Welsh Government has no jurisdiction over policing matters which are the responsibility of the Home Office within the UK Government.
All of us should be able to have trust and confidence in the police. And every time it is revealed there are people who wear the uniform who absolutely should not, it is, of course, a point of concern. I've seen the wider issues in relation to the Met and others. I'd want to reflect and consider the call from Nazir Afzal and others for a wider investigation and to understand how that will practically make a difference.
The number of COVID deaths in Wales has risen to its highest weekly total since the end of July. Coronavirus was a factor in 44 deaths in the week ending the 4th of November, which takes the total since March 2020 to over 11,000, with COVID accounting for 6.2% of deaths in Wales in the same week. The official unemployment rate in Wales has fallen slightly, but there has also been a drop in the number of people in work. The unemployment rate was 3.7% in the 3 months to September, having fallen just 0.1% compared to the same time last year. The number of people in work has fallen by 39,000. That gives Wales an employment rate of just over 72%. Football and Wales are hours away from jetting off to Qatar for their first World Cup in 64 years. Rob Page's side, led by captain Gareth Bale, trained in front of crowds at the Cardiff City Stadium earlier this morning. Wales will fly from Cardiff Airport later this afternoon to compete in their first World Cup since 1958. They will play their opening game against the USA next Monday. Rugby and the Scarlets' back row Josh McLeod will make his Wales debut against Georgia this weekend. Coach Wayne Pivac has made 6 changes from the side that beat Argentina for the penultimate autumn test, but there is still no room for Alan Wynne-Jones. McLeod, Ben Carter and Jack Morgan start in the forwards, while Josh Adams, Owen Watkin and Rhys Priestland are named in the backs. A teenager from Ceredigion who has cerebral palsy says joining a local wheelchair basketball club was life-changing. 16-year-old Kai Frisbee says he gained confidence after joining the club, which helped him to go on to play for Wales. Kai recently took part in the Children in Need rickshaw relay, riding 12 miles in Aberystwyth. He said he wanted to give something back to the charity, which has provided invaluable support to the wheelchair basketball club.
It was just really nice because I got to cycle through my hometown for 12 miles and going around all these local areas that I grew up in. And it was just great to see loads of overwhelming support really for the rickshaw challenge, and nice to see people coming out cheering you on, and the occasional donation that came through.
Right, let's get the weather. Derek is here. How's it looking?
Very changeable, Nick, over the next few days. There's more wet and breezy weather on the way, with sunshine and showers in between. Some drier spells in the mix as well. It was quite nice in Saundersfoot this morning with some sunshine, but make the most of the dry weather and sunshine. It's not set to last. More rain will spread into southern counties later this afternoon, and some of this rain on the heavy side. Further north, drier and brighter. The top temperature around 13 Celsius with a light to moderate breeze. Now, through this evening and overnight, showers and longer spells of rain will spread northwards. Some heavy showers in places. Parts of mid and north Wales end in the night dry. The lowest temperature around 5 Celsius and a bit breezy on some of the coasts in the south and west. So tomorrow then, this next frontal system will be heading our way later in the day. We start tomorrow with a mixture of sunny intervals and scattered showers. Most of the showers in the south and west, 1 or 2 on the heavy side. Dry for a time, but more wet and breezy weather will spread into southern counties later in the afternoon. Temperatures tomorrow ranging from 10 Celsius in Wrexham to a high of 13 Celsius in Cardiff, with a freshening east to southeasterly breeze. Now, tomorrow evening, this wet and breezy weather will spread its way northwards, some heavy rain with the lowest temperature around 8 Celsius in Newtown and in Brecon. The wind and rain all tied to this area of low pressure sitting over the UK on Thursday. So Thursday starts off wet in parts of mid-north and West Wales. The rain will clear though, so turning dry with a few showers, quite breezy with some sunshine in the south. That's it. Back to Nick.
Get your brollies out. That's the lunchtime news. I'll be here for Wales Today at 6:30. Hope you can join me then. Until then, have a good afternoon.